Hello and welcome to our News9 special. There is something that is boiling in Kerala. Well, it is a polarization debate that has taken some time to in fact manifest itself. What I'm talking about? Well, I'm talking about a new divide that's come in Kerala society. The softening of approach by Kerala's Catholic Church towards the Sangh Parivar has been criticized by a section of the clergy in the state. One of the priests, Father Ajimon Puthiyaparambil, has withdrawn from active pastoral ministry and has said that he wants the church to reform. This is not theological issues on which he is asking for a reformation, but on administration. Father Ajimon also said that the growing influence of Sangh Parivar among the section of the clergy and laity, that is, the common people of the church, has become quite worrying. The question is, why is it that the church in the recent past has been tilting towards the BJP? The church and its leaders have been saying that they have been facing a combined leftist Islamist attack on it. The latest being the protest at the Amal Jyoti Engineering College, where the Diocese of Kanjirapalli says that the outside forces are targeting Christian educational institutions. Now, the BJP has been trying to make overtures to the Christian communities in Kerala based on a newfound fear of the Muslim community in the state. An assertive Muslim community has become a common ground of concern for some sections of the Christian clergy and the Sangh Parivar in Kerala. This growing concern of communalization of the church has resulted in some priests raging a battle against it. Some of them have raised voice against it to the upper clergy as well. Once considered to be two minorities who were staunch UDF voters, the left and the Congress are watching the polarization of these communities with a lot of concern. Well, to discuss more about it, let us in fact go first to Father Ajimon Puthiyaparambil, who joins us. Father Ajimon Puthiyaparambil, my first question to you is very simple. Why is it that you decided to move away from your pastoral duties in the Sirumalabad Church as a protest? Please, can you explain what made you take that decision?
Okay, it's not a protest. It's a divine call or a divine call, and I have to answer the questions of my conscience. It's not a protest. Instead, it's my call to reform the church. I see the decay in the church in many aspects, like financial transparency and the unholy relationships with the politicians, and giving importance to the ritualistic practices. All these things actually wounded my heart, and I want to reform the church as a Catholic, as a son of Catholic Church, as a priest, and I will do my best to reform, to clean the church in my way, depending on Jesus Christ.
Reform the church not theologically, you're reforming the church administratively. Administratively, you're saying there is a decay with regards to the corruption system. You're talking about the corruption in the church, I assume.
Okay.
But when you're talking about the corruption, you were also in fact saying that you're worried about Sangh Parivar influence in the church. Can you explain more on this?
Sure. Yeah. The church, especially the leaders, lost the moral power. Due to this, they want to make some unholy relationships. I think the relationships between the Catholic Church, or especially the leaders of the church, and the political parties are not based on ideology. Instead, it's purely an opportunistic relationship. So that I call this an unholy relationships. Why? Because the church, the institutional church wants to hide many things. So it wants the support of the political power, so that now BJP is in power, so they want to the alliance and the protection of the BJP. It's never an ideological friendship. Instead, it's an opportunistic friendship between the Catholic Church leaders in Kerala and the BJP. On the other hand, BJP wants the votes. They only want the votes, nothing else. Their relationships with the leaders of the Catholic Church, not based on a real friendship, but it's also an opportunistic relationship. They want vote. Yes.
So, but the church has always been powerful in Kerala, Father. The church had, Vimochana Samaram. For my English audience, let me say it was supposed to be a liberation struggle against the communist government in Kerala. So, the church has been political. Now, why is it that if it is in fact planning to align with the BJP, you have a concern right now?
See, and in Kerala, if you see the history, church was never partial. They were impartial, and they have the moral power to criticize the government, whether they are Congress-led government or BJP-led government or LDF-led government. They have no fear. They criticized the governments. That was the moral power, and the church had. But now the church is losing, or church is not having that moral power, and they lose it due to many things. And see, in one words, I will say the church is moving away from the path of Jesus Christ. We cannot. It's off the track. It is off the track.
So,
That
what do
the
you
church
mean? Are you trying to say that the church shouldn't become political? It shouldn't take a political stance. It should be what it is to be. That is to be religious. It should just be a religious entity. It shouldn't be political entity. Is that what you're trying to say?
See, church is a divine entity. It should be a religion. It should be a divine entity. It should not be a political entity. We see in history, whenever the church had relationships with the political entity, it decayed. See, and the Pope and the Caesar should not be friends. The policy of Jesus, the political policy of Jesus is we know very well.
Father,
Give
are you
what
trying to say
unto
give unto
Caesar,
Caesar what is Caesar's and give unto God what is God? Are you trying to say
God
that?
what is God's. Yes, yeah.
So
Give
you're
up to God what is God's, and give unto Caesar what is Caesar's. And the aim of the church is not to make a something political. Its duty is to proclaim the kingdom of God, and proclaim Jesus Christ, and show the community and show the world the way of Jesus, not to make any political power.
Well, Father, then also interestingly, I wanted to ask you this question as well. You are also worried about hatred for another community that is spreading within the church. What is your concern regarding that?
See, Jesus wants to love everyone. The only command given by Jesus is to love your neighbor. Neighbor doesn't mean that Christians alone. Neighbor means the everyone you meet. So, church should not hate anyone. Church should not promote hating someone, a community or a group. It's against the will of God, the will of Jesus Christ. So, church should restrain from that means sowing hatred among the community. And I am sure that means the official church never made any remarks hating a community, but it is keeping silence. That is equal to a sin.
Is it silence? Because I see that, the clergy might not be coming out and making statements, but I see some auxiliary bodies of the church, whether the youth movement or the students movement, they are coming out and making open statements against a particular community. Let's not in fact say what particular community, let's say open statements against Muslims. So is that your worry?
Sure. See, whenever a dictatorship, we see in history, they want to make an enemy. See, look at Manipur. In Manipur, within weeks, the cookies, they are Christians. They became terrorists over a fortnight. See, so that we could not make anyone as enemies. We have to make them friends. So the auxiliary bodies like youth movements and other organizations are making hatred statements, and these should be stopped by the authorities of the church.
Well, but then there are clergy also who make that statements. Now, Father, let me in fact get in Father Paul Telakat, also former spokesperson for the Syro-Malabar Church, into our discussion. Father Paul Telakat, we have Father Ajimon Puthiyaparambil, who has decided to, you know, take a break from his pastoral ministries because he's worried about what the church is turning out to be. He was saying about corruption, he was talking about hatred that is coming, and also the question about aligning with political parties. For the Paul Telakat, we have also discussed this before as well, but there is a significant section within Syro-Malabar's clergy who thinks that, as what Father Ajimon was trying to say, that you shouldn't mix Caesar and God when it comes to the people. How do you see it?
See, Varghese, first of all, I would like to congratulate Father Ajimon for the daring step that he has taken. And secondly, I wish him all the best. And thirdly, I must warn him that this is not an easy cup. This will be a bitter cup to the last drop. And that will be, he will have to face terrible difficulties in his life. That is sure. But he is a daring step. His commitment is very strong. That commitment to Christ, and commitment to the interiority, and commitment to values is the most important thing. Otherwise, you and I, Father Ajimon or I, why should we become a priest? Priests are people who renounce everything and committed for the people, committed for Christ, committed for religious values and values of life. And therefore, there is everything that we must take care and do to safeguard humanity and human values everywhere. In India, as you said, as you expressed your apprehension about the church. Church is also some ways withdrawing in itself. There is some sort of narcissism within the church. A time to love itself. It is for itself. It is looking for its own safety, its own wealth, its own welfare. Church should not be for itself. Church is for the world. Church is for the country. Church is for the people. And that dimension has been forgotten. That is a corruption. That is a narcissism. That is some sort of a fundamentalism, some sort of communal feeling within the church. That is destroying the church.
But Father
and
Paul Telakat, just to play the devil's advocate, this has been brewing. I mean, this issue has been brewing between the Christian and Muslim communities for some time. And it looks like the issues are now being highlighted with the BJP being entering in. Because if I speak to certain clergy within the church, they seem to be having no problems in having relationship with the Sangh Parivar forces as well. They are ready to, in fact, they say that most of our interests align. Now, when I say interests align, is that they quote unquote, they say that we have a concern, fear about Muslims in Kerala, about them being assertive. And it's been there for quite some time. It's not, it started now, it started from UDF days itself, where the Muslim community has been assertive when it comes to its portfolios that it wanted. It has been assertive when it comes to the portfolio of education, which again, it was a big controversy. So there has been an assertion when it comes to the Muslim community right now. So this has been going on, and it only seems that none of us recognized it, and there are people who feel that they are besieged within the church, and therefore they are saying, okay, let us look at people who would actually protect our interests. If that is what has led to the church, especially some in the clergy, softening its stance to the BJP, Father Paul Telakat?
Exactly, Varghese, what you said is true. The majority of the clergy and religious in Kerala may be silently supporting also the hierarchy, but they are not aware of what is happening. They are not aware of what is the future. They are not aware of the danger that is lurking behind all these issues. Now look, during the situation which arose in Kerala with regard to some sisters coming out in the public and making a strike, saying that one of them is abused and sexually molested by a bishop. Where did the priests and religious stand? It was with the bishop. What happened to these priests? What happened to the religious? What happened to the nuns? Even when one of them is accusing the bishop of betraying her and committing adultery with her. And it seems that all the majority of the clergy and the religious were standing with the bishop as bishop is accused as the victim. That is a strange contradiction that took place in Kerala. This is what is happening. Therefore, there must be a lot. There are some
But then,
people.
Father, then also there were clergy who were worried about Kakkakali, and they said Kakkakali portrays religious life in a very wrong way, and then nobody is taking any approach to it. But then they see how Kerala story as a film comes up, and there is so much of protest against it, and there are people speaking against it. It looks like the Christians seem to be kind of orphaned, and that is the feeling that they have. So they want to find out whether is there anyone who's going to listen to them within the secular bipolarity in Kerala, that is the Congress-led UDF as well as the CPM-led LDF. So it seems that their voices are not heard in this secular bipolarity in Kerala.
There is definitely in the clergy a sizable number of clergy who some way seem to be following the path of the bishops. And you see that in 2022, it is a bishops' conference. The synod who came with a statement on love jihad, so offensive, so hateful. This has happened in Kerala. One could imagine that such a thing. The police DGP says there is no love jihad in Kerala. Such an organization doesn't it. Still, the bishops are coming and saying that it is. This is the problem that we are facing. The bishops did not do homework, nor do they meditate, nor do they sit and think what should be done, and they do not imbibe the values of the society, even the constitutional values, freedom, equality, fraternity, peace. These are all forsaken for the sake of church being so introvert, concerned about its own property, its own wealth, its own security. That introvert attitude is the dangerous attitude that we are all talking about.
Well, Father Paul Telaka, let us go to one more of our guests who is joining us. We have Anand Kuchkudi with us, who's a senior journalist. Anand, how do you see the church's tilt, or I won't say a pro kind of a tilt, but kind of a tilt towards the BJP right now? It seems to be softening its stance, and only after certain sections within the church, started pointing fingers at the bishops, saying that there's something happening in Manipur, why you're not speaking about it, did they suddenly realize that they need to speak about it with the leadership, with the BJP leadership. Otherwise, they're meeting Amit Shah, they're meeting Prime Minister Modi, they are in touch with the local BJP leaders in Kerala. So is there a significant shift that is happening because of a fear on possible assertiveness of the Muslim community in Kerala?
Yeah, that's true. And a lot of things have been pointed out already in this discussion on what is making the Christians insecure and why are they feeling, orphaned, and how it started not just now, but from the former UDF regime tenure in 2011. But I would say that it started slightly before that when the hand chopping incident happened. Professor T.J. Joseph's hand chopping infamous incident by the Popular Front cadres. At that point, the church tried to play it down. But I think that festered for a long time, and it was only post 2016 when when a certain number of people were found to have left to join the ISIS, 21, 22 people. In 2016, that it started becoming mainstream in among the church, in the Christian community altogether. But it was only post 2019 that it became such a huge issue, with love jihad being, as Father Paul Telaka rightly pointed out, it was a synod. It was a CBC, the Kerala Catholic Bishops Synod in 2020 January. That it was first, this love jihad bogey was first highlighted, and it was there was a press release which said that love jihad is being it's happening on a wide scale without being reported. But then this was denied by the central government, this was denied by the state government, but the bishops and the church, they continue to play this up in various forums, various fora available to them in the church, within the organizations of the church, and among the community. So this has been brewing for some time, but I would say that the root cause, even before the hand chopping incident, the root cause of it is to do with demography. The Christian population, as you have been showing on the screen, is dwindling. Right from 1957, when the state was formed, the Christian population has been on a downward spiral. At that point, the Christians outnumbered the Muslims in the state. But now you can see that the Muslim population has gone up to 27. In 2050, it is projected that the Muslim population will be 1/3 of the state, and the Christian population will come down to 15%, which is kind of, they'll be reduced to a half of what the Muslim population would be. So that, I think, is the root cause, because they are losing their political clout, they are losing their say in the public sphere. The Muslims, they were not so educated in the past. They are attaining education. They are becoming a very strong business community. Unlike in the past, when the Christians owned a lot of commercial establishments in Kerala. So I think all these are contributing to it. And this demography is one basic thing which is propelling all this insecurity within the community. And it's not just the church, the bishops, and the priests who are behind it, but a significant number of laity. Especially in districts like Kottayam and Pathanamthitta, they are totally bought by by the arguments made by the church. And the Bishop of Pale had once, I think within the last couple of years, he had announced a scheme for Christian couples to have more children, and the church undertaking their education and everything else if they can bear more children. So that shows how the church is concerned about their dwindling numbers and how that reduces their say in the whole political, everything that's related to, in the Kerala
So
public
basically,
sphere.
Anand, you're saying that from your observation that the church is losing its clout in Kerala. It is not going to be as powerful as it was once upon a time, where it had the power to in fact bring down an entire government. So it's losing its clout in Kerala, basically.
Yes, that is true. And it was in 1959 that the liberation struggle, the Vimochana Samram that you pointed out earlier, happened. At that point, it was basically the Syro Malabar Church which orchestrated it. True that the Nair Service Society backed the church, and later the Muslim groups also backed it, and at some point the Congress party also backed it. But then it was started. It was the entire thing was orchestrated by the Syro Malabar Church. The church had the power to bring down a communist government which had a majority. I mean, it was not an LDF government as such, but it was a proper communist government. And that church has now been reduced to a peripheral player in Kerala politics. It has very little political representation. The Kerala Congress parties, which are basically the mouthpieces of the church, they have been split multiple times, and they are now part of both LDF and the UDF. But their numbers at the representatives have shrunk from, they had 25 MLAs at one time, now it's down to 6 and 3 in both LDF and UDF. They used to get 3 to 4 ministerial berths, including finance and education and other powerful portfolios. But instead, now the Muslim League continues to, they at one point they had very little representation, but the Indian Union Muslim League now gets more MLAs. They get more ministries. In 2011, they got 5 ministries compared to the Kerala Congress, which got 2 ministries. So these are all factors contributing to what is happening in the church politics.
Well, Anand, also, I just wanted to add one more factor. Do you see the mirroring of the same insecurity between the Nair community and the Christian community? Because the Nair community and the Christian community have a very similar geographical area of spread, and at the same time, both of them have been politically also on the same lines, and that is to be on the as UDF supporters. So both of them are witnessing the same kind of decline. Nair population has come to something around 13%, and the Christian population is also declining to 80%. Both of them are on the verge of losing their political hold that they had in the state. Do you think this is what is also, driving this Christian outreach? Because those who are in the Nair community who are, in favor of the BJP have a traditional ally in the Christians. So because both of them mirror their growth and their this thing, in fact, mirror each other when it comes to the economics as well as the business, and also their decline is also mirroring each other. Is this also a driving force on the ground where they find Nair and Christians being allies on the ground also?
Yes, that is true to some extent. The Nair community have been completely backing the BJP ever since Prime Minister Narendra Modi came to the scene. They see in Narendra Modi somebody who they can vote for. But their leadership, unlike the church leadership, that is the NSS leadership, Nair Service Society's leader, G. Sukumaran Nair, he continues to back the Congress. So that is what stops the community from completely endorsing the BJP. But a change of guard, if instead of Sukumaran Nair, if some other leader takes his place, it's very probable that they'll completely back the BJP. But the community as a whole are still split three-way among the communists, among the UDF and the BJP. But in the last election, that is 2021 election, it was the CSDS, the Hindu CSDS survey pointed out that the BJP got the maximum number of Nair votes compared to the other two fronts, the UDF and the LDF. So that shows that the Nair community, even if their leadership continues to back the Congress, is voting significantly for the BJP. As you said, on the ground, the situation is fertile for both the Nair community and the Syrian Christian community to have common interests, and they see in Muslims a common enemy. So the otherization of the Muslims that the BJP propagates is it's music to them. So that is, but then the point is that in Kerala, the BJP is not yet able to emerge as a third player. They continue to be a peripheral player, unlike in the other states. They don't have a good leadership. There's no exodus from the Congress to the BJP in Kerala. No significant leader from Congress has joined the BJP. So that is holding these two communities back. For example, if some prominent leaders join the BJP, and if it seems like the BJP has any chance in Kerala to come to power, then both the Syrian Christian community and the Nair community wouldn't hesitate, at least a significant number of them wouldn't hesitate to back the BJP.
Well, let's get into Father Paul Thelakat. Father Paul Thelakat, does this mean that, the issue is about the church feeling orphaned? And, I'll come to Father Ajimon also after that the church feels orphaned, and I have a reason why I think the church feels orphaned when it comes to certain situation. But is that the case, that the church is feeling orphaned right now? One, of course, the clout of the church is declining. Second, demographics are also on the decline. Thirdly, it is not easy now to assert, the Christian community is not that powerful that to assert itself demographically. And in any democracy, votes count. So the community that has the maximum number of people, in fact, are the ones who would be able to create a political situation. So that is been on the decline for the Christian community. So does the church feel orphaned, Father Paul Thelakat?
Varghese, you are right. Anand is right when he is making a political analysis of the situation with the sociological, economic and business affairs is very right. My problem is simply, and Varghese said there is a similarity between Nairs and Syrian Christians. That's also true. They are true to the level of socio-economic, political situations. But when it comes to faith, there is issue of morality, there is issue of value system, there is a issue of commitment to ethical values and values of gospel, values of human life. Here is the problem. See,
so but Father, then let me sorry to disturb you again, but I'll just try to put one more this thing. When Pala Bishop made that statement on narcotic jihad, the first thing that came to mind is that he must be under pressure, saying that, are you not going to speak about this? Are you not going to speak about issues that are affecting the women in the church? So he just made a statement out of there, and then you saw how Suresh Gopi came visiting, you saw who was then BJP MP came visiting, then you had BJP leaders in touch with him. So the question also, you know, a section of the laity will ask the bishop, like, aren't you raising our issues as well? This has happened right in front of us. And then you had protests also happening in front of his house. So I'm just bringing that also into context. So what would be your view?
That is simply politicizing of Christianity. What he was doing is simply politicization. That is what I am all against. Now,
okay,
look,
you are against the politicization of Christianity. Then why is what was the reason why Kerala Congress was founded? What is not so political about it then? Because it's considered to be the church's mouthpiece as a party.
But look, Kerala Congress is a political party. Christianity is not a political party at all. It should not become a political party. Look at the present Pope. Pope Francis is interfering also he went twice to Bahrain. Why did he go? See, there is a prevalent theory of Samuel Huntington that there is going to be a civilizational war between the West and with the Muslims. This is the theory. Sociologically, economically, there are many reasons for that. But why did the Pope go to Bahrain twice and visit the Muslims and made accord and agreement with the Muslims? The simple reason is we have to rise above this economics, we have to rise above this sociology, we have to rise above this the geographical situation, the population situations. Now, maybe let me ask you one question. Are the Muslims increasing because they are Muslims, or are they increasing because they are poorer people? And this question must be asked.
Well, Father Paul Talakat, in fact, let me give you some. The Muslims in Kerala are mirroring the same growth model of the Christians. That is to say, like Anand was saying, they are getting educated and all that. And now even they are facing the issue of migration. Slowly, their community members are also migrating out of the state, just like how the Christians first did. They migrated out of the state. They are also now migrating abroad. So sooner or later, the Muslim community also will be losing this kind of the kind of proportion of growth that they would see, because everyone is looking for greener pastures away from Kerala for some reason, but everyone is looking for those greener pastures. So it is interesting, though you are seeing a larger population growth, this will, in 20 years, they will be at the same position where the Christians are today.
Yes, see, look, Varghese, this is what I am talking. We have to think and talk on global situations. Many of the Christian youth are leaving India. They are going to other countries. And this situation will increase. And that may come to also Muslims. And now we cannot fight each other. This is the world and the global situation of horizon, and everybody finds better paths than anywhere else. Therefore, we are not going to fight against the Muslims. This is the problem. Why do you spread hate? Bishop Pale was what was the message that he was giving? He was spreading not gospel of love, gospel of hate. This is what we have to oppose. And therefore we have to understand each other. And the Christians may not be multiplying more as the Muslims are. And there are reasons. There are economic reasons. There are educational reasons. We have to analyze and find out these reasons and try to mold the community in that matter. And many of the leaders are not doing that. They are simply accusing some other people. That kind of hate campaign, they are simply borrowing from the RSS and the BJP and using. This is where Christianity is betrayed. I am sorry to use that phrase. Christianity must be lived. It will not be betrayed. We have forgotten to be Christians. But
so are you indirectly calling the people who in fact go with the BJP and RSS as Judas?
I am not saying that.
But you're saying Christianity is being betrayed. So if Christianity is being betrayed, we have a symbolism in Christianity called Judas who betrayed Jesus. So are you saying then that those terms?
See, look, a hate is betrayal of Christianity. Whosoever you hate, that hate campaign, you shall not do it. That is basically, to be a Christian is to love the other orientedness. Don't be too much concerned on yourself and your church to be concerned with others. That is what the church is supposed to preach. That is what the church is supposed to live. Well, and if you don't preach love. If you do that, that is not Christianity. If you preach hate, you are becoming unchristian. That's all what I want to.
Well, Father Paul Talakat, stay with us. We will also go to Father Ajimon, who's been waiting for quite some time. I just wanted to get all that perspective. And Father Ajimon, is this the worry that you have, that there is hate coming into the system? Is people are now aligning especially from the church, because of this fear of the Muslims, they are aligning on a hate principle. Are you worried that this hate is what is your concern as well?
Yeah, sure. See, it's like a cancer. It will destroy the heart of the people, Christianity. So the church and the members of the church should restrain from hate campaigning. It's not only against Muslims, not anyone, should not hate anyone. This is really a tragedy.
It's a tragedy. Now I'll come to all the three of you all with one question. We had the protest happening at Amal Jyoti Engineering College in Kanjirapalli. Of course, it is a tragic death of the student Shraddha that was in the focus, and what could have happened, well, let the police investigate and find about it. I'm not going to delve into the suicide part of it. But then the issue has been that there is this fear among the people in Kanjirapalli, and I was listening to some of the statements that was coming in. They said that, in Malayalam I'll put it first and then I'll explain to the English audience as well. They were saying that ഇവിടുത്തെ കർഷകർ ക്രിസ്ത്യാനി കർഷകർ കഷ്ടപ്പെട്ട് വനത്തിലെ മലമ്പനിയും അവിടുത്തെ മൃഗങ്ങളെയും തോപ്പിച്ചിട്ട് അവിടെ ഒരു ജീവവാസമാക്കാൻ പറ്റുന്ന ഒരു സ്ഥലം വെച്ച് അവർ സൃഷ്ടിച്ച ഒരു സ്ഥാപനമാണ്. What they were trying to say is that these people, the Christians who were there, came to the hilly areas, they fought with disease and with the wild animals there. They made the area suitable for human habitation, and they have created institutions like Amal Jyoti Engineering College, and therefore it was an attack on those Christian farmers who took that risk and their ancestors who took that risk to build that college. How do you see the protest in this Amal Jyoti Engineering College? Do you think that this, and also when we had other organizations coming into the picture, and that was also worrying for me, because the student wing of the church and as well as the student wing of other communities were there openly. They were still there and they were all raising slogans in the name of justice for Shraddha. They were communalizing it. A lot of people said that it is people from one particular community, that is the Muslims, who had come in and raised the slogans, and they are the ones who are raising the issues as well. Meanwhile, the Christian community who is running, or the management that is running it, are also shouting back, and also with their support, with their leadership and their youngsters coming out and saying that this is a conspiracy by leftists and Islamists to target this institution. It's a very complicated issue that we are dealing with. Father Ajimon, how do you see the Amal Jyoti controversy right now?
We see our serious situation of the polarization or division among the Kerala community. A few months back, a girl suicided at a Muslim religious institution. A few months back, on that time, many organizations doesn't make a strike in front of their gate. But on that time, RSS made strikes, especially Yuva Morcha. In this situation, Amal Jyoti, RSS never made a strike. They keep away from disturbing the Amal Jyoti management. And the Muslim community, PFI, that means Popular Front of India, SFI, and the KSU, these organizations made strikes. Here we see how selective the strikes are in Kerala now. This is very dangerous. Years back, everybody makes strike on these tragic situations. It's quite normal. But now these strikes are become quite selective, and RSS select colleges and issues, and SFI and PFI select strikes. This is very serious. And the church and the church authorities never make this issue as a communal issue. Instead, they have to correct the wrong that led to, we do not know what are the reasons, but they have to find out the reasons, how it happened.
Well, Father, I think you have answered my question. You are also worried about selective strikes. Therefore, there is the idea of, some extremist elements targeting the church as well. Let me go to Father Paul Telakad. The Amal Jyoti Engineering College incident, where what do you see? Because I am seeing, it would have been a normal student protest, But now it has turned out to be which community student wing is protesting where, how they are protesting, pro and anti-protests are happening. And it is also worrying to say that our youngsters or from the Christian youngsters are shouting slogans, as you said, about the hate factor, that, and then also in the cyber crime, in the cyber world that we see, a lot of them are bringing out the issues about how one community is targeting the management of other community, while some similar incidents happen in their colleges. There is no strike from anyone. So that is something is being highlighted. So how far has this communalism taken place? And I think Amal Jyoti Engineering College protest only shows the sharp divide between the Christians and Muslims in Kerala. Do you agree with me, Father Paul Thalakat?
See, Varghese, first of all, it's a tragedy that a girl committed suicide in that institution. It has to be investigated and the truth must come. And the students have certain right to ask their questions. Secondly, now there is a tendency, as you say, to communalize any and every issue. And when you communalize it, you are making communal instigations and accusations. This is the tragedy. All are accusing each other. We are not finding the truth and telling the truth. We are only simply accusing each other. And every situation, every tragedy is used and abused for accusations each other. This is some sort of an antagonizing hate situation we are in. This is not where we are going to live. We are to live with some sort of peace and understanding. That understanding will never come if you involve in a game of accusation. And then management also must withdraw itself from that game. And everybody should withdraw themselves from this game of accusation. That is what is communal, that communal into that communal game. Church should not enter, should stay back and then protect the rights and the duties they have to do. I think this is where the church should show an example.
Well, thank you, Father Paul Thalakat. Now, let me in fact go for the last words with Anand Kuchudi. Anand, you've heard both of them. I mean, I get the feeling that there is this pressure to be secular and, stay relevant. But at the same time, there is this fear that they are being targeted, selective targeting also being used. It only adds fuel to the fire that is already there, isn't it? Especially what's happening in Amal Jyoti Engineering College is more of a communal set of protests. Everybody has forgotten the core issue, that is the suicide of the person Shraddha. Everybody is now concentrating on who is conspiring against who. Are we looking at a very dangerous precedent happening between two minority communities in Kerala, especially when we see how situation is unfolding when it comes to the protests in Amal Jyoti Engineering College?
Yes, that's true. And in Amal Jyoti College, what happened is really tragic. And it's something that, happened due to, I have to, before commenting on the Christian-Muslim issue there, I have to say that a lot of institutions in Kerala, they enforce discipline to a degree which is not suitable for the present generation. They are somewhere 50 years behind in their thinking, and these people who, whether they are a clergy, the nuns, they have to grow with the times. Probably they need to get some counseling done so that they don't have these set notions about gender segregation, about if boys and girls talk, it's natural, it's normal, and they should not go to extreme levels to segregate boys and girls who are teenagers, and these teenagers' human dignity and their respect, self-respect shouldn't be it shouldn't be done away with in any way in the name of enforcing discipline. That's the first point. And this is much more it's the segregation happens in Muslim institutions as well, but it applies even more to Christian institutions, which is more sort of ideally, it's touted to be liberal institutions, but what happens inside is not so liberal. Because I myself, I have studied in some organizations, in some institutions run by the church, so I'm speaking from experience. Second thing, what transpired there, the selective protests. Selective protests are happening for some time. And one of the culprits is the Students' Federation of India, which is the dominant student body in Kerala politics, the student body of the Communist Party of India, Marxist, CPIM. So they basically keep silence whenever some issues happen in Muslim institutions. So that can be kind of, uh, put down as appeasement, but they won't own up to that. They would say that, okay, Muslims are being targeted in the entire country, so we don't want to otherize Muslims further, and that these BJP and Sangh Parivar are taking advantage of it. But I don't think that's how to go up. That's the way to go about it. Whether these suicides are happening in Christian institutions or in Muslim institutions, the Students' Federation of India and other student bodies, they have to protest uniformly, and there should be no selective targeting. But in recent times in Kerala, the Jamaat-e-Islami and their student outfits, the fraternity, the SIO, these kinds of student bodies, they seem to be targeting the Christian institutions, while the Sangh Parivar, they are the only ones who seem to be protesting in Muslim institutions when something happens. And both the CPIMs and the Congress's student bodies, they are conspicuous by their absence. So there is a problem there, and the Christian Muslim issues are it's exacerbated by such kind of actions by political parties.
Well, interestingly enough, now I get my answer on this. I see that the Christian community in Kerala does feel it is under siege, and there are hundreds of factors that is in fact contributing to it. And interestingly enough, not all of them within the Christian community, though they feel orphaned, are in support of trying to build bridges with the BJP. We have Father Paul Telakart, who's also warning about it. We have Ajimon, who's also warning about it. So within the church itself, there is a concern about ties between the church as well as the BJP. Thank you, gentlemen, for in fact speaking to News 9. It's been quite enlightening to understand what is exactly happening when it comes to the situation in Kerala. And with that, it is a wrap on this edition of our News 9 special. Stay tuned for more programs on the other side.